tickets. There are some the league is afraid that there are some teams' games where you could get into the playoff game for $6. That is how low some of these ratings might be and how low some of these ticket prices might be. Let's get into it. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, hit that bell notification. Let's go. WNBA is in a frenzy right now.
The cost of an Indiana Fever playoff ticket is $968. $9. That is less expensive than a burrito with extra guacamole from Chipotle. Furthermore, this isn't just any old nosebleed seat. In the WNBA, this is playoff basketball. Additionally, admission costs less than a McDonald's meal.
Fast. The WNBA is in a panic right now. The WNBA higher-ups are panicking. They don't know what's going to happen. I already let y'all know. I showed y'all the numbers that they was concerned about the playoff ratings and what they will be for the networks. They're concerned about it already. No Caitlin Clark here to carry everybody. They don't know how these numbers are going to look. Tickets are they're already doing Black Friday sales for playoff tickets. There are teams already doing Black Friday sales for playoff tickets.
Here's the worst part, though. There is no sign of Caitlin Clark on that court. She's wearing street clothes and sitting on the sidelines. Suddenly, the whole basketball world has been turned upside down.
It's $9. This is the cheapest it's been to get into an Indiana Fever game all year. This is actually the cheapest it's been. Look, I still think it's going to be nearly a sellout because I'm sorry, if I lived anywhere near Indiana, if it was 10 quid, I'd go to the game. I'd go to the game. I'd absolutely go to the game. I don't care. I'll pay $10. It's cheaper to be in the arena watching the game than it is to sit at home. Probably more expensive than it would cost to go to pay for one game on Fever Direct, I'd say, if that's a thing.
Tickets for the Indiana Fever, a team that sold hundreds or even thousands of dollars when their star player was healthy, is now essentially handing out playoff spots like unwelcome Halloween candy.
It's understandable in this era to figure that tickets for playoff games are more expensive than the regular season, but Fever tickets for Tuesday night remain very affordable. $12, $13. I don't know what they're going to lie about as far as attendance goes. We're going to get into that momentarily. There are tons of tickets, hundreds of tickets available, if not thousands of tickets still available for tonight's game at a cheap price of a hoagie sandwich and a bag of chips from Wawa. You know, during Hoagie Fest nonetheless. A hoagie and a bag of chips from Wawa, you can get into Gainesbridge Arena.
When Clark was a part of the lineup, the franchise charged fans between $670 and over $4,000, simply to share their generational talent's air. With pocket change, you could now purchase a ticket and still have money left over for parking.
WNBA is in a frenzy right now. The cash cow is not available to play. The Golden Goose is not available right now. That is Caitlin Clark. So now everyone has to get their numbers on their own. We saw Caitlin Clark bring in a whopping 1.8 million viewers for her first playoff game versus the Connecticut Sun last season. That was more than all of the other playoff games that was played that day combined. More than all of the other playoff games played that day combined. WNBA's in panic mode.
Would you kindly subscribe if you are enjoying? Let's be honest about the situation at hand. Tickets for the Indiana Fever were in high demand during Caitlin Clark's playing career. All sports, not just basketball. The woman alone generated about $1 billion in economic impact and was in charge of 26.5% of all WNBA economic activity. AB in a billion. That exceeds the GDP of some tiny nations. People.
Last year, the cheapest ticket available to see the Indiana Fever at the Connecticut Sun in the first round of the 2024 WNBA playoffs, $133. Let's just say it's not near that expensive this year. It's not. So right there, Indiana Fever just had Caitlin Clark cut a WWE promo. I'm waiting for CM Punk to run out of the tunnel. There's Mr. Punk right there.
However, the ticket prices that we are seeing presently make a dollar menu appear pricey. The most affordable playoff tickets are currently at $9. Additionally, courtside seats are $200. That's the price you would pay for good tickets at a high school basketball game, courtside. If it weren't so telling about what this league really depends on, the difference would be so glaring that it would almost be humorous. The Fever games had an average of more than 17,000 home fans, more than the city's NBA club, when Clark was healthy and terrifying opponents with her trademark three-pointers and no-look passes. To meet demand, road games were being rescheduled to bigger locations. The Washington Mystics relocated to a 14,000-seat arena from their 4,200-seat one. The Chicago Sky improved upon their typical arena with 10,400 seats to the United Center, which can accommodate more than 20,000 people. That is the full force of the Caitlin Clark effect.
You can get courtside seats for $200. It is $200 to go sit courtside. Second row courtside behind the basket is $200. 1 to 3 tickets. It is $200 to sit courtside this game. This is in fact the cheapest. It is cheaper to go to this Fever game. This is the cheapest it's been to get into the Fever all year. Why? Why is it the cheapest? Because, well, you see, these tickets went on sale after the Indiana Fever announced Caitlin Clark was going to be injured for the season.
However, this is where everything go completely haywire. Clark declared on September 4th that, because of a groin ailment she had been suffering, she would not be returning for the remainder of the season, including the playoffs. Additionally, the entire mood surrounding Indiana Fever basketball shifted as if someone had switched a light switch. All of a sudden, the club that was breaking franchise records for wins and road triumphs was forgotten. The Fever's first home playoff game since 2016 should have been a joyous occasion on September 16th. Rather, it turned into a case study of how one player can sustain the importance of a whole league, not just a team. Fans are now ignoring the $9 tickets like they're outdated coupons, even though they used to be willing to mortgage their homes to watch Clark perform.
Last time the Indiana Fever posted a video of Caitlin Clark talking was almost a month ago. But they know who they need to post when it's time to sell tickets. Damn! Putting CC front and center only when it's time to sell tickets. Oh boy. Oh boy. And we're talking about the tickets, folks. Don't hate the player, hit the game. I'm just a lonely messenger. That's it. Look at these ticket prices. Oh Lord, oh Lord, oh Lord. Look at these ticket prices. $13, $12, $55 for section 100, $27, $147 for section 5, $55 for section 19, $330 for courtside seats. Ho!
However, this goes beyond the Indiana Fever. This concerns the WNBA looking in the mirror and recognizing their true selves without their greatest attraction. The impact of Clark's absence extends beyond ticket sales. It's a huge change that affects the league's overall appeal, broadcast ratings, and product sales. Every time Clark missed a game because of an injury during the 2025 season, the consequences were severe and swift. The WNBA saw a 55% decline in viewership when she missed 5 games early in the season. Games that often attract millions of suddenly, viewers were having trouble breaking 350,000. Clark was scheduled to be the team captain for the All-Star game. Noticed a 36% decrease in viewership after she was injured and unable to participate. It's similar to going to a concert where the main act doesn't appear and then everyone realizes they didn't pay much attention to the opening acts. Perhaps harsh. It's true. It's true that there are empty seats and extremely low ticket costs.
think all of us were expecting the entire viewership of the entire WNBA to be down. And this tweet from Christine Brennan really stuck out to me. She said one player gets injured and more than half the TV audience for the entire league disappears. Has any other athlete ever had that kind of impact on a sport? Golf without Tiger definitely dropped precipitously on occasion, but not like this. This news is alarming for the league, and it's alarming for the league because this is such a crucial year for the WNBA.
This is when things start to get both fascinating and depressing for Indiana. The Fever's whole persona revolved around being the team of Caitlin Clark. They built their offense around her special skill set, selected her first overall, and saw their team go from being a WNBA afterthought to a must-watch TV show. Clark improved their overall brand in addition to their on-court prowess. The Fever are attempting to persuade supporters that Aaliyah Boston's reliable interior presence and Kelsey Mitchell's 20.2 points per game are worth playoff costs without her. Furthermore, these athletes are gifted and deserving of acknowledgement. However, the market has spoken, and it is doing so through $9 tickets. The identical fanatics who set up camp outside arenas are now treating playoff basketball like a Tuesday night at Chuck E. Cheese just to watch Clark warm up. This season, the franchise broke records. 24 games, 10 victories on the road, and their first consecutive postseason trips since 2015 to 2016. This should be a celebration, by all means. Rather, it seems like a wake-up call to what might have been.
This is wild. They're already doing deals. Like they're trying to give you a free tire change. They're trying to give you a free car wash and all types of stuff to get out to these games. This is wild. Look at how empty this arena is. Look at how empty it is. The cheapest ticket, $6. Yeah, I could spot a nickel on the floor right there, row 2, section D1.
However, let's take a moment to zoom out since this circumstance highlights an awkward aspect of the WNBA that no one has ever noticed. Wishes to utter aloud. Caitlin Clark is more important to them than any other player has ever been. LeBron James is not leaving Cleveland in this instance. This is learning that a single, unwell 23-year-old point guard is the foundation of your entire company strategy. In 2024, the league grew at an unprecedented rate. Mostly because Clark gave the WNBA a level of popular attention, butts, seats, and eyes that it had never had before. Compared to 2023, attendance increased by 48%. A total of 154 sellouts occurred. The average number of spectators each game increased from 6,659, in total. Across several networks, television ratings broke previous records. However, we're now observing the opposite of that. What happens if the key to your league's success is a single player who is unable to play? Sitting there in those $9 playoff tickets is the solution.
But Caitlin Clark was first. You know what would have also put asses in seats? Indiana Fever clearing Caitlin Clark to play the game of basketball. That would have done it. I promise you. I promise you that would have done it. Again, I believe we deserve to know who ordered the code red. It's a lot different if it is Caitlin Clark and her people believe that, and her medical team believe that she could not play. If it was Stephanie White in the Indiana Fever, I believe that changes everything, as far as I'm concerned.
Absent, then Clark's injury came at the worst possible time for the WNBA. With new teams coming and an 11-year, $2.2 billion media rights contract beginning in 2026, the league is currently in the midst of a tremendous expansion phase. Salary negotiations are underway for players. Sponsorships from corporations are flooding in. All the conditions were in place for the WNBA to advance to the next level as a significant professional sports organization. Then, just before the season's most crucial games, their biggest star, the player who contributes about 27% of the league's total revenue, suffers an injury. It resembles a restaurant at last receiving after receiving its first Michelin-starred review. The head chef called in sick that same evening. Every piece of infrastructure, every piece of When it counts most, the planning, all the excitement, and the one unique feature are
In this back and forth from all the WNBA players that the league is not just Caitlin Clark. Stop acting like the league is not just Caitlin Clark. There are other people who are doing things. So Caitlin Clark has been injured, so she hasn't been playing. Since Caitlin Clark went down, the WNBA ratings have dropped over 55%.
Yikes.
Across the board.
Hey, guess what, guys?
The league is Caitlin Clark.
The league is Caitlin Clark. She is the W.
Possibly the most striking aspect of the whole circumstance is how rapidly fans desert the ship. These are not only bystanders. These are the folks who would have paid top dollar to see Clark perform. They journeyed to Indiana from Iowa. They purchased goods. They devotedly followed every game. They served as the cornerstone of the WNBA's most recent triumph. However, when the chips were down and Clark was eliminated from the playoffs, they cast their votes with their money. And because of the $200 courtside tickets and the clear maybe if general admission is that inexpensive, $9, their verdict was a resounding nay. This doesn't necessarily mean that the other players or the caliber of basketball being played are being disparaged. It's simply the harsh truth of professional athletics. Supporters relate to specific players rather than impersonal ideas of competitive basketball. They hope to witness greatness. And Caitlin Clark has embodied that excellence in women's basketball for the last 2 years.
So, like a lot of people, I started following the WNBA, and I'm sorry, I hate to sound cliche, but it is because of Caitlin Clark. I flew my family to Indy to catch the game opener, and it was just such an amazing thing to see. We fell in love with the city. We, of course, also fell in love with the Pacers, and we followed every game since.
The WNBA and the Indiana Fever are suffering from having to put all of a single basket of eggs. The extent to which the franchise and the league have relied on Clark's star power has been made clear by her injury. It serves as a sobering reminder that it is always dangerous to base a long-term company on just one person, regardless of how skilled they are. This serves as a wake-up call for the Fever in particular regarding player management and injury prevention. Due to several soft tissue injuries, Clark lost a substantial amount of time in 2025. The impact of each absence was seen right away in terms of ticket sales, audience size, and overall interest. Should she serve as their franchise's spokesperson, they must take every precaution to maintain her health. This circumstance emphasizes the necessity for the WNBA as a whole to create a number of narratives and stars who can carry the league in the absence of particular players. The league's recent rise, while amazing, may not be as stable as it first seemed, as evidenced by the sharp decline in viewing and attendance when one player is absent. No amount of spin can alter the story that those $9 playoff tickets ultimately tell. Both the Indiana Fever and the WNBA are in dire need of Caitlin Clark. Indiana's playoff basketball becomes a steal without her fans can afford to skip the bin afterthought. Does it treat the other gifted person fairly? Players on the roster of the Fever? Most likely not. Does it accurately depict the nature of professional sports fandom? Of course. Fans support more than simply the jerseys. They support athletes who captivate their attention and give them the impression that they are seeing something unique.
Is a superstar from top to bottom. You never seen a woman shoot the ball like that or pass the ball like that. It has that fire. You downplay it, you diminish it, you try to kill it. You almost killed it, but thank God Caitlin Clark is a strong human being. But the fact that they're trying to replace her with someone subpar talent, subpar in entertainment value is ridiculous, and try to give credit to those who don't really deserve credit and try to have players to be the face who aren't really the face. The one thing about the face of the league, it's not chosen by the league, it's chosen by the fans.
Caitlin Clark has been that unique something in women's basketball for the past 2 years. Her non-attendance at those unusually low ticket prices for the playoffs serve as a reminder of how uncommon and valuable that kind of star power is. After discovering its golden goose, the WNBA is now discovering what happens when the goose is unable to fly. In addition to being inexpensive seats, the $9 tickets serve as a sobering reminder that in professional sports, A single player may occasionally make the difference between background noise and must-see television. And in the absence of Caitlin Clark, the Indiana Fever playoffs are currently the most reasonably priced letdown in professional sports. The query: I don't know if this is crazy or wild. Indeed, it is both. The query is what the Indiana Fever and the WNBA do with this hard lesson about the distinction between unsustainable dependency and sustainable progress. Because there is a story being told by those vacant seats at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. The cost of an Indiana Fever playoff ticket is $968.